Welcome back to 110 Daily on the 110 Sports Network. Josh Doring is here with me. We got through the news and notes. Let's get to the most important part of the weekend, and that's championship games. We should go in chronological order, right? I think that's
Sure.
a respectable way to approach things in the NFL this weekend. But of course, we have four really great quarterbacks, and if you told me these four quarterbacks were still going to be alive, I'd be like, okay, yeah, that checks out. Starting at 3:05 on Sunday, Bucks, Packers, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. I was thinking about this. Because of where they play, this can't be game. Like, there haven't been very many Rodgers Brady games.
Mm-mm.
And they've been in the NFL together for a long time, and they've been Brady and Rodgers for a long time too, right? I mean, we're talking about it's been 10 years since Aaron Rodgers won his Super Bowl, right? It's not like we're on year 4 of Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers. He's been around for a long time, and I was thinking about it. I can't think of any, right? Because they wouldn't have met in the playoffs, and they only play, I would think it's happened at least a couple times in the regular season just based on cross-division play. But this is one of the few, big-time Rodgers versus Brady games. And if they have happened before, it's not like they were instant NFL regular season classics when they did meet.
Yeah, right. And never seen it before in the playoffs, obviously, because
Right.
they would have had to have met in the Super Bowl. So, yeah,
Right.
This is one of those other benefits of Tom Brady going to the NFC, is that we got 3 Tom Brady Drew Brees matchups this season, and now we get an Aaron Rodgers Tom Brady matchup.
Mm-hmm.
That he sort of mixed up the whole great quarterbacks versus opposing other great quarterbacks thing, which is cool.
Very cool. Okay, let's start. Let's just, what are you looking at here? Give me what your Packers win if, your Bucks win if, the most important battle in this game, whatever you got.
The two things I'm looking at that I think are going to determine this game: one, Buccaneers run defense against the Packers running game.
Mm-hmm.
The reason the Packers have been so successful this season is because they're so well balanced. We've talked about it before. You saw it again in that game last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And the Buccaneers are the best run defense in the NFL.
Yeah.
And they did a really good job at Alvin Kamara. They've been doing a good job. That, to me, is the formula for success if you're Tampa Bay, is you got to make the Packers one-dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you're playing Aaron Rodgers versus Tom Brady, and Tom Brady with his weapons can absolutely win that battle.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if Leonard Fournette has another really good game, you're the more multi-dimensional team. You're the team that's harder to stop if you can take out Aaron Jones from the equation. So that's the one thing. And then the other thing, to me, this comes down, in a broader sense, this comes down to the Buccaneers defense versus the Packers offense, because the Buccaneers just aren't scoring enough points and haven't looked good enough offensively for me to believe they're going to win a shootout.
At least not in the playoffs. I mean, we're talking about like 4 straight weeks of 40-plus points prior to the playoffs. But in the playoffs, you're right.
Yeah, especially last week where they needed all those turnovers to get those points. They'll score some, but to beat them, the way the Packers are playing, to beat them, you've got to lower their ceiling, if you will. You've got to limit their points.
Sure.
So the other part of this is, can Tampa take out the vertical passing game the way they did against New Orleans? Obviously, that's going to be a much bigger challenge because Aaron Rodgers is not Drew Brees.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers still has plenty of arm strength left.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's easy to stop Alvin Kamara when the defense you put on the field for the pass game to basically just make Drew Brees beat you over the top and dare him to beat you over the top also is pretty helpful with containing Alvin Kamara at the same time.
Yep.
That's just the nature of when your quarterback can't throw over the top of the defense. You can play really tight on those short routes, and then Kamara's just not going to be super effective and not get those big plays because there's always going to be 9 to 11 people on the defensive side of the football, somewhere between the line of scrimmage and 15 yards from the line of scrimmage, pretty much every play. The challenge here is, okay, it's Aaron Rodgers, and he has one of the 3 best receivers in the NFL right now, but then they also have a running game that you have to deal with. And Davante Adams can beat you over the top. Davante Adams is also a really good short route runner. Like, it's so much more dynamic, and they can do so much more. And Rodgers can also, make play, get out of the pocket. He's one of those historically underrated athletic quarterbacks, and he can also make every throw in the book still, right? So it's stopping the run against the Saints right now is the first and only step. Mm-hmm. Stopping the run against the Packers is either step 1 of 3, or it's one of the steps and part of the equation, and that's what the difference here is. Can the front 6 of the Bucs stop the running game so that they have plenty? Can they split it up evenly so that they can defend both, and both units can get their job done without the extra help, right? That's the secret to any successful defense, is like, can your front 4 get pressure on the quarterback without having to send other guys, so that you can have 7 guys in the secondary while your front 4 is getting pressure. That's the secret to every successful pass defense, is getting that pressure up front without any extra blitzers. In this game, it's, can we control the line of scrimmage, stop the running game, while also not using so many resources that we can do things like guard Davante Adams when Aaron Rodgers is throwing the football, that kind of thing.
Right. Or the other way around, sort of what the Ravens did to the Titans. Can we stuff the box and stop the run and have enough belief in our corners that they're not going to get destroyed one-on-one?
Sure.
If we're leaving 7-8 guys in the box.
Sure.
Yeah, you kind of got to
the other way around.
And you got to think, if you're playing the Packers, you're going to choose the former, not the latter. You hope that you get the pressure with the front 4. Tampa Bay's got some good pass rushers down there. They've been performing well pretty much all season. They're also good at stopping the run. That's just an underrated defense. So can you get that pressure? Can you make Rodgers uncomfortable, and also still have the bodies to guard people, to double team Davante Adams, stuff like that? Interesting factoid here. It's our trivia time. Are you ready?
Hit me.
Would you like to guess Tom Brady's record in championship games? Of course, these all came in the AFC, but
let's see. So he's got at least 6 wins. He's got 8 wins because he lost to the Giants twice. So he's got at least 8. I'll go with that. 8. He's 8 wins, and let's see, 8-3.
You're close. So you forgot a Super Bowl loss.
A Super Bowl loss?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay. So that's 9. So it's 9 wins.
You did the math correctly, right? 9 wins.
So it's 9 wins.
4 losses. You were close.
9-4. Okay, I'll take that. That was a solid performance. Okay, I'll take that.
First of all, one to. Oh, go ahead.
Right. Brady has capitalized on the opportunities to win Super Bowls in a way that you can argue LeBron hasn't, but it's a similar stat there that, like, nobody gets to, conference finals like LeBron does, and gets to the finals like LeBron does, and nobody gets to the Super Bowl like Brady does. And to be 9-4, to be able to be 9-4, like, there are quarterbacks who won't play like, most quarterbacks aren't going to play 13 playoff games in their career. Mm-hmm. He's played 13 conference championship games. It's absolutely ridiculous.
And now he's on 14.
Right. Excuse me.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. So I think there were 2 losses to the Broncos, 1 to the Ravens when the Ravens won the Super Bowl, and 1 to the Colts, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but
yes, I was at the one that he lost to the Colts. They were up 21-3 at halftime, and
that game, right? So that and then
Joseph die.
would you like to guess Aaron Rodgers' record in championship games?
It's not good. I know he's lost the last two. At least they like. So no, it's more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's been 3 or 4 times since they won that Super Bowl in 2010. So they lost last year to the Niners.
Mm-hmm.
They've lost to the Seahawks at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Did they lose to the Rams that year? They didn't lose to the Rams too. It wasn't them they lost to the Rams. I'll go 1-4.
1-3.
1-3. Okay. All right.
But they've lost the last 3. Now all of them came on the road.
Right.
But every time he's gotten there since they won that Super Bowl, they've lost. I just thought that this was interesting for a couple reasons. If you're looking for something to point to for Tampa Bay, it's this. Mm-hmm. That Tom Brady does a very good job in this game. Typically, Rodgers does not. And if you're Green Bay, if you want to point to a reason for positivity when it comes to this stat, it's even without fans that, look, the losses in the championship game have come when they were on the road. They were the lower seed, mm-hmm. which is obviously not the case this year. Because usually they're one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the NFC, but you don't really feel like they're the best team in the NFC, where at this point, I think it's pretty safe to say they're the best team in the NFC. Mm-hmm. That hasn't happened all that much in recent years. So I thought that was just a little interesting factoid there.
Yeah, people keep coming up with reasons to not pick Tom Brady, and which is fine. I think the Packers are the better football team right now. But it also wouldn't be the first time that Tom Brady has beat a team that's better than his team in the playoffs. And it's, typically being in a cold, being at Lambeau is a massive advantage from a holy crap, it's cold, and holy crap, look at all these fans perspective. And it'll be cold and there will be some fans, but it won't be all that different than Gillette Stadium in January as well. It just won't. So I think that, right, the typical advantage of being at Lambeau, maybe not quite as much there. Now, to be clear, I think the Packers are clicking on all cylinders, and there's a lot more places to pick apart the Bucs' performance in the last couple weeks than there is to pick apart what the Packers did last week. Now, we're also in a situation where the Packers played a Rams team that I don't think anybody thought was as good as them. And before that, it had been, 2 weeks since we had seen them play because they had a bye. So it's a little different, but I think those conference championship records matter. Like Brady is playing with house money here, and Rodgers, to a certain extent, needs to prove that he can get back to the Super Bowl to be in that. I think there's a very real conversation that Aaron Rodgers right now is the most talented quarterback of all time, from his arm strength to his ability to move outside of the pocket to whatever, and Patrick Mahomes might at some point down the road become that guy.
He's probably on track.
He's pretty damn good, but right, he's definitely more dynamic than Brady has ever been. Like with his feet and moving out of the pocket, and certainly the same with Manning. I think all of in their primes, their throwing abilities were all comparable, but Aaron Rodgers has ridiculous arm strength still, and moves better than both of those guys. Both of those guys did whatever word you want to, whatever verb tense you want to use. But it's been 10 years now, and while, like you said, they've all been on the road, all of those conference championship games, that's something that Brady has done, and now you've got no excuse. You're the best team in the NFC right now, at least performance-wise. You're at home, and you should probably get this one done. So I think there's a little more pressure on Rodgers' shoulders going into this game than there is on Brady's, because, of course, Brady's got nothing left to prove. And it's been a decade now since Rodgers won this football game, and that's got to be at least in the back of his mind a little bit.
Oh, there's absolutely no doubt that there's real pressure on Aaron Rodgers. And also, again, because this is now, if you get a fully healthy Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, then it's a conversation. But you're the quarterback of the better football team, playing at home. And if you want to get into that conversation,
and you're one of the, like, there aren't many quarterbacks that have been better than Brady this year, which is saying something. Mm-hmm. But Rodgers is one of them, right? It's also that's also the other part of this. Like, you're the MVP this year too, right? Mm-hmm. You're one of the few quarterbacks that's been better than the quarterback that the other team has. So you got to continue that.
And if you want to get into that, and not that Rodgers is going to touch Brady in terms of the GOAT conversation, but one Super Bowl appearance is just not all that many when you're Aaron Rodgers. Sort of to the point that you were making.
Sure.
When you look at it
doesn't really fit the stat. The stat doesn't really fit the career.
Mm-hmm. The amount of times Brady got there, Peyton Manning got there a decent amount.
Not got there 4 times, right? 5 times.
Right. So three Super Bowls. 2 wins
he won.
Loss? No, 2 losses.
No, 2 losses. He lost to the Saints. He went 4.
Right.
Yeah.
So 4. Yeah.
He lost 1. Right. He won 1 and lost 1 with the Colts and with the Broncos.
Yeah. So even with Brady there in his prime in the AFC, Peyton Manning still got the 4.
Yeah.
It's just one of those bizarre stats you don't think about all that much. Is that Rodgers has won this game 1 time, and he should win this one.
And he's also been the best quarterback in the NFC the last 10 years. I mean, we're talking about right. We've talked about this before. Like, I mean, when you look at the teams that have represented the NFC in the Super Bowls recently, it's teams that don't have all that inspiring quarterbacks. Now, it's teams that in most years, in many of those years, their teams collectively were better than the Packers collectively. But to your point, there's no Brady in the NFC for Rodgers to have to go through, which is fine. That's not his fault, but it's also not like there's another all-time great in the NFC with him.
I mean, Drew Brees, but Drew Brees also wasn't getting to the conference championship game every year.
Right. So I think, that's another part of this as well.
Predictions?
Give it to me.
Or do we want to do predictions at the end after we talk about the other game?
No, let's do predictions now. What do you got?
Okay. I'm going with the Packers.
Okay.
I just haven't seen quite enough from the Buccaneers for me to be confident enough in their ability to score 30-plus points and play with the Packers just because of how well-balanced the Packers are. It's going to be a real indictment on Aaron Rodgers unless Brady plays out of his mind if Green Bay doesn't win this game. Because New Orleans probably should have won that game if they didn't turn the ball over 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
And if Aaron Rodgers just takes care of the football and lets his weapons do the work, they should win this game. I picked at the beginning of the playoffs. I can't claim at the beginning of the season like you. Both my team, the teams that I picked are out now. But I'm going to stick with what I originally felt like. They're the best team in the NFC. Rodgers is playing really good. They're playing well. I just don't see that ending.
I want the Bucs to win this football game because I before the season started, I picked the Buccaneers to play the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. So selfishly, I'd like the Buccaneers to win this football game. I do think I'm going to give the edge to the Packers. I find it hard to believe it's going to be a blowout, for all of the reasons that we just talked about, and the fact that it's Tom Brady. I think that the Bucs will be able to stop the run game, at least to a certain extent. And if you do that at Lambeau when it's this cold, that is very helpful. But I think the Packers are just a little more, they're too balanced on the offensive side of the football and have been really solid on the defensive side of the football for me to not give them the edge at home in this one. I think it'll be close. I just think that the Bucs are going to have a little bit too hard of a time scoring to put up enough points to beat the Packers. I think while the pressure is on Rodgers, I think there's some motivation there that maybe Brady doesn't have, and I think he's ready to be back in the Super Bowl. So I'd love for the Buccaneers to win this one because I like to be right. But it's really a win-win this weekend because I'm picking the Packers, but I also picked the Bucs once upon a time. So either my preseason prediction is going to be right, and my predictions before the NFL playoffs started are going to be right, or I'm going to be right because I just picked the Packers on this show today. But I'm going with the Packers. It won't be, and I also think the fact that they beat this team like 38-10 in the early in the season is not a good thing. I'm going to pick from your list of philosophies there for a second. I don't think that's helpful for the Bucs' chances either. Let's go over to the AFC. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, the Bills, the Chiefs, Sean McDermott, Andy Reid. Real quick, what are you looking for in this one?
Well, I'll just make it pretty simple. The Chiefs win if Mahomes plays. If Mahomes doesn't play, the Bills win.
Sure. And it looks like he's on track, at least right now, to play in this football game for what it's worth.
There's at least positive developments. Yeah. The Bills are averaging 22 points a game in the playoffs so far. That's just not enough to beat Patrick Mahomes, assuming Patrick Mahomes is at least fairly healthy and is not having lingering effects from this concussion. The Chiefs averaged more rushing yards and more passing yards than the Bills this season. For all of the great things the Bills offense did, the Chiefs were just that much better. It's also the team that's been there before. It's also the team playing at home. It's also the team with the more dynamic weapons. I can keep going down the list, but from midway through the season when the Bills started piling up those wins, to me, they have the formula that their defense is capable of slowing down Kansas City a little bit, and their offense is capable of being explosive. We just haven't seen the explosive version of this offense in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And if you don't get that version, you're not beating Kansas City.
Yeah.
So if I'm picking a team to beat them, it's the Packers or the Bills.
Yeah.
Those are the teams I like the matchup most for, but you got to have everything go right. And the Bills just haven't done enough in these playoffs for me to believe everything's going to go
right. I think it's not a whole lot harder than I don't think it's a whole lot more difficult than that, right? If you get the offense that you got in the first two games from the Bills in the playoffs, and you get Patrick Mahomes on the field, the Chiefs are going to win this football game. And I'm not going right. You can't really say anymore that because you look at these four teams, and these four teams, the things that they don't do the best are running the football and defense. So you can't really say that you win championships nowadays by playing really good defense and only running the football, right? But also running the football helps, and the Bills had 32 yards rushing last week.
Kansas City's a better running team than Buffalo. Mm-hmm.
I find it hard to believe, I'm not going to pick the team that can't run the football and is playing Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid on the road to win this football game. I'm just not going to do it. Now, could we see Josh Allen in that offense come out and you also like Cole Beasley didn't have a catch against the Ravens, and Stephon Diggs is unguardable, but everybody else, especially if Cole Beasley isn't playing super well, is slightly there's nobody else on that Bills offense that completely terrifies me. It's really just Stephon Diggs. And if you're not going to run the football, that just puts so much more pressure on them. You don't have Zach Moss, at least I don't think you do. And that doesn't help the run game either. And on the other side of this, the Bills got absolutely picked apart by Phillip Rivers and Mo Alley Cox from the it's Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce is going to have.
Don't forget about the tight ends.
Travis Kelce is going to have 400 receptions in this game. They were making Mo Alley Cox look like and there were two other ones. Jack Doyle and whoever. There's a
Trey Burton.
Trey Burton. Thank you. I was going to say Trent Burton. I knew that one right. Trey Burton. they couldn't stop him, right? And now you have the best tight end in football and the best quarterback in football and the best coach in football. Like there is. At the beginning of the playoffs, I would have had a little bit more time thinking about it. We're at this point, and I think if Patrick Mahomes plays, like you said, that, and it's at Arrowhead, and the Bills can't run the football, I'll hang my hat on the Chiefs as well. In a competitive but relatively convincing fashion. Like 7 points, but really it's closer to 10 or 14, but the Bills get a score with a minute 41 left and they're unable to get the ball back, that sort of thing. So competitive, relatively close on the scoreboard, but I think the Chiefs will win this football game, and it won't necessarily come down to who has the ball last.
I would agree.
Anything else?
Rest in peace, Hank Aaron.
Shouts to Hank Aaron.
News.
The home run king.
All-time legend.
Yes, sir. That man. Can we talk about this for half a second? The man is, there are lots of people who consider him the most prolific home run hitter ever because everybody else ahead of him cheated, right? Like, the dude holds the bat a different way. Can we talk? Like he's a right-handed hitter with his left hand higher up on the bat.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah. Why does like to write that off as so wrong when maybe the best home run hitter of all time swung the bat that way? I'm just saying. Maybe we should be like taking a look. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, shouts to Hank Aaron, the home run king, and surely one that will be missed. Thank you for making us part of your day today here at 110 Daily. We'll be back on Monday to break down everything that happens over the next 48 hours or so, and we'll have a Super Bowl matchup to talk about, or at least a Super Bowl matchup to begin talking about so that we can talk about it for the next 2 weeks, and then actually see the game in 3 weeks, just over 2 weeks time from now. But we'll be back on Monday. Hopefully Chris Brown will be back with us at that point, and we'll break down everything that happens over the weekend. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day today. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday.